What's up guys, it's Michael here. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to talk about what ways you can do to make yourself get out your financial rat race. Basically, decisions you make that keep you poor. So first thing you do, for investors, you cannot be overly confident. So meaning, as a billion investor, you gotta know your limitations. So when you borrow money, for example, or reinvest, make sure you always do your research. So thinking that you can, one day you make a lot of money from like a single stock, for example, or like for example, as people buying Tesla earlier, all of a sudden like, oh my god, I have diamond hands. Great, I made so much money. Look at that stock right now, and you continue investing. So being overly confident in the stock market is a big no-no, because that can get you in a lot of trouble. Number two, another way that can keep you financially poor is basically setting back yourself by being impatient. So basically, meaning if something goes wrong and you basically just can't wait to get rid of it, or you're like, oh my god, you're panicking. He's like, wait, I can't wait anymore to get this money. I can't hold on to this. Meaning that basically you had to have a really level-headed mind when you do investing. You gotta calculate your risks and your costs. So whatever you put in, you know how much you're taking a risk for and what you will get out of it. So being impatient is a main killer for majority of people who do investments. Sadly, I believe that is the number one cause why a lot of people believe investing is too dangerous, because they just lack the patience to look at the other side, the farther side of the box, the end of the spectrum. So to fight that impatience, just basically do not be using more money you are willing to spend to run into investment. So if you make like $100,000 a year, and let's say you got to split it up, like I mentioned my previous videos, you split it up into categories. So you have like your fund category, you have your emergency category, you have your investment category, then you have like your daily necessities, etc. So when you split up your income after taxes, after you split up after taxes, then you got to look at how much you're willing to invest. That is how I calculate personally how much I'm willing to put my money into investments, and calculate the risks and assessments. So when the time comes, if the money, let's say for example your investments doesn't go well, your basically impatience will be one deciding factor whether your investments will go up or go down. So the next one is that you over leverage, meaning you start to borrow more money than you can actually afford to pay back. Because borrowing money is a good and a bad thing. So for example, with this pandemic, you borrow money because the loans are really low, they're really cheap because the government wants the money to flow back in the market. So you borrow money so you can buy a new house or whatever investment you think it's great. But you got to be very careful, because if you start borrowing a lot of money that you cannot afford to return, or you're taking like a really high risk, for example, like I said earlier, you find a property you think it's really good, and the same applies for being overconfident too. So you got to know your limitations. So borrowing money is one major factor you have to be really careful. It can also make and break you. And besides borrowing money itself, it's just how society works. You take money in, and hopefully you make a investment, a profit coming back out. So the bank is basically taking their bets on you. That's how majority of the borrowing works. And based on percentage loans they get back, etc., 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 it really depends on the economy. The next portion that keeps a lot of investors really poor is that they don't diversify their portfolio. Meaning that, like, so some people do real estate. So they're in the real estate market, they think they're really good at it, to the point they put all their savings, all their money into real estate. If that is the case, then why don't you just smash the like button down below? So help me out in this channel. But, in reality, what happens if something goes wrong, like this current pandemic? Look at the housing market. Instead of going down, it's going skyrocketing. It's really great for a lot of people who wants to get rid of their homes, especially in California. But the people buying in, they thought they have a time right here, the chance of their lives, and it's not going well. Another example, you look at the stock market. So there's a video on a YouTuber, Graham Stephan. He had a monkey choose out in stock investments for him to put money in. I think it was like $100,000 or something. Don't quote me on that. But he put money in. All his stocks he showed off actually made money from a monkey picking it. So you gotta know, there are good times and bad times. But when the bad times come, you gotta be prepared for it, mentally prepare. So you cannot be impatient. Like I mentioned earlier, being impatient's a killer. Being overconfident's a killer. Over leveraging is a killer. And now, just selling off, it's another killer. So at the end, if you don't diversify your portfolio, if one thing goes wrong, then you're basically, your whole entire financial portfolio is just done for. So splitting up your portfolio is very important. So housing, that's one of them. Then you got another one, the stock market investments. You got crypto, another investment. Then you have other types of trading where you put money into other companies, working with other businesses. And you have option tradings. Even, working with becoming another type of business partner. It's another type of investment you can put your money in. So putting money into multiple investments, splitting it up, is mainly the forte of basically financially backing yourself. It's the same thing as why do a lot of entrepreneurs, why they make different businesses, why they try to generate new sources of income. Because you look at those people, entrepreneurs versus people who have a job, the entrepreneurs always want to create another source of income. And the people who just have a job, they make a lot of money, but there's only one source of income. So you think about it, if you have multiple sources of income, if something hits the fan, and one of the income sources disappear, as an entrepreneur, you have multiple. So if one goes away, you still got multiple left. You'll be basically just fine as long as they make the money back. You still have revenue coming in. As working as an employee, as a job, you have basically just one. If you're assuming you have no investment, that's literally just one source of revenue. If that hits the crap and hits the fan, for example, this pandemic, you're basically done for. You're basically relying on money, hopefully, assuming you saved up. And based on this pandemic, majority of Americans do not have, any retirement money saved up because, I guess financial literature is not really a thing in America. Sadly to say, it's probably around the world too, because no one wants to teach it until recently with YouTube and channels like mine and other people, other financial YouTubers. They're teaching what schools don't teach. Sadly, that is the case. And you want to look at another thing, but besides diversifying. Diversifying helps a lot. The last one, I consider that the most important, is to basically get out your comfort zone. There's another reason why majority of people are really poor, because they don't like getting out their comfort zone. Meaning they don't like to try new things. If you don't put money into your investments, there's no way to know whether you succeed or not. It's a risk you have to take. This is how the financial world works. If you take a risk, and you take a calculated risk, that's another really important factor too. Meaning you look at it. So when you buy stocks, you don't just close your eyes or look at a media and just go buy whatever. What you should do, instead of that, just look at it. If you're buying a stock, look into their company. For example, majority of people, I'd say Tesla go up, down, fall, or whatever, go over whatever price they try to predict the future or whatever. You gotta look into the company. What are they trying to do? Whatever product they're trying to make, whatever service they're trying to do, is it beneficial for society as a market? Will it create a spark, create a new invention? And it's not hard to do research on that. Just go on Google itself. You can just find research on whether the company is doing well or not, and whether or not their product and service will pertain technically to majority of the population. If it does make a major change, then yeah, you have stocks going really high up. And one thing I want to mention is the last thing. It's the most important, I believe in all, is that people just have to give it a try at the end. What I want to say is that majority of people, even I mentioned in this video, no matter how many videos I make on financial advice, it's entertainment only, purposes only. Hopefully that someone watching this video or any other videos, well, at least, step out their comfort zone. As I mentioned earlier, why majority of people are still in financial trouble is just, just give it a try. Give out investments a try. It doesn't hurt, okay? If you lose income or lose money, you can always gain it back. It's never gonna be gone forever. If you want to get out your comfort zone and live a different type of lifestyle, see all those people living the way they want to live, then you have to make investments, make sacrifices. It doesn't have to be big ones. Even small ones will lead to big ones. Small steps always lead to big steps. This is all I want to say in this video, and I'll see you next time on my channel. Peace.